Okay, let's dive in. Think about this. Something really small, smaller than your pinky nail maybe, and it keeps your heart beating right.
It's pretty wild when you picture it.
Yeah, we're talking about the world's smallest pacemaker today. A tiny device, but honestly, the impact could be huge.
Absolutely. We're looking at something just 3.5 millimeters across. Think of a grain of rice. That's
A
small.
grain of rice. Wow. Okay, so just quickly, a pacemaker, its job is to regulate your heartbeat if it's irregular, right? If you have an arrhythmia.
That's the basic function, yes.
Yeah.
Stepping in when the heart's own rhythm needs support.
And normally getting one means, well, pretty serious surgery. Incisions, hospital time, recovery.
Definitely. It's invasive. And with any surgery, there are risks, infection being a key one, plus recovery takes time.
Yeah, and that whole process can be a real barrier for some people, maybe older patients or people with other health issues.
Exactly. The surgical risk itself is a major consideration. And even after it's in, a permanent device isn't without potential long-term issues either.
Right. But this new one,
Hmm.
this 3.5 millimeter thing, it changes the game.
It really
It's
does.
not just about shrinking it down. It feels like a totally different approach.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack how this little gadget gets around the old problems and, what the real benefits are for patients.
It's a great example of where medicine is heading less invasive, aiming for uh, quicker healing, better patient experiences overall.
So that size difference, 3.5 millimeters versus,
Yeah.
the traditional ones, it's massive.
It really is visually striking.
But what does that actually mean in practice for someone needing cardiac help?
Well, the immediate biggest change is how it's implanted. It's non-surgical.
Non-surgical, how?
They can deliver it using a catheter. So basically, a thin, flexible tube that's guided through a blood vessel, usually in the leg, right up to the heart.
Ah, okay, so minimal incisions, maybe just a tiny puncture point.
Precisely. Much, much less invasive than opening up the chest area.
And the payoff for the patient is, well, it sounds obvious, but faster recovery.
Significantly faster, potentially less trauma to the body means quicker healing. You could be back to normal life much sooner than with traditional surgery.
And lower risk of complications, like that infection risk we mentioned.
Yes, the risk of infection associated with large surgical sites is dramatically reduced. It's just a fundamentally less disruptive procedure.
Hmm. It feels like it just neatly sidesteps one of the big hurdles of the older tech.
It does. That invasiveness was always something doctors and patients had to weigh very carefully.
Okay, so tiny size, non-invasive procedure.
Hmm.
That's already pretty impressive. But there's more, right? This
Oh.
thing is also biodegradable.
Yes, and this is really quite revolutionary. The device is actually designed to break down naturally inside the body over a set period.
So wait, it just dissolves?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Once it's done its job, the body gradually absorbs the materials it's made from.
Which means no need for another surgery later to take it out.
Exactly. That eliminates a whole follow-up procedure which carries its own risk and costs. Think about patients who only need temporary pacing support.
Right, like after certain heart surgeries, or maybe if someone has a temporary rhythm problem.
Perfect examples. In those cases, implanting a permanent device that you might later need to remove isn't ideal. This offers the support needed, and then it just goes away.
That's incredible. It removes that whole long-term foreign object issue.
And the associated risks, like late-stage infections or device malfunctions years down the line, it's a really clever solution for specific needs.
Okay, so it's tiny, it goes in easily, it disappears.
Hmm.
But the core job, how does something the size of a rice grain actually pace the heart effectively?
Fundamentally, it works the same way. It delivers small, precise electrical pulses to the heart muscle to keep the rhythm steady.
Right.
The real magic is the microelectronics. Packing all the necessary components, the battery, the circuits, into that minuscule 3.5 millimeter space is quite an engineering feat.
So it's not just smaller, the tech inside had to get way more advanced.
Absolutely. And it's not just sending out pulses blindly. These devices have sophisticated sensors built in
Sensors? For what?
to monitor the heart's own electrical activity in real time. This allows the pacemaker to understand what the heart is doing and adjust its pacing accordingly. It only steps in when needed and delivers just the right amount of stimulation.
Wow. So it's adaptive. It
Uh-huh.
reacts to your body's needs.
That's the idea. It's a much more responsive system than just pacing at a fixed rate all the time.
Okay. And physically, how does it connect? You mentioned it dissolves, so what's it made of? And How does the electricity get to the heart muscle?
It uses biocompatible materials, things the body accepts without reacting negatively, designed to break down safely over weeks or months. And it uses a very thin, flexible wire, or lead, to deliver those electrical pulses directly to the heart tissue where they're needed.
And I read something about wireless communication, too, for something this small.
Yes, that's another key innovation. Advanced microchips inside allow for wireless communication.
Why is that important? What does that let you do?
It means doctors can monitor the patient remotely. They can check how the pacemaker is functioning, see the heart rhythm data, and even potentially adjust the pacemaker settings without the patient needing to come into the hospital or clinic.
That sounds like a huge convenience factor, and maybe even better for managing care.
Definitely. Think about patients who live far away or have difficulty traveling. Remote monitoring can lead to earlier detection of problems and more timely adjustments to treatment.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit.
Yeah.
We've got the tech, the size, the biodegradability. What's the bigger picture impact here?
For patients, yes, but also for, the healthcare system.
For patients, especially those high-risk individuals we talked about, the elderly, the frail, this opens up a treatment option that might have been too dangerous before. It expands access.
Right. People who maybe couldn't tolerate traditional surgery now have a potential solution.
Exactly. And for the healthcare system, well, think about the cost savings. Less invasive surgery often means shorter hospital stays, fewer resources used during the procedure, less need for intensive post-op care, fewer complications to treat down the line too, presumably.
That's the hope. Fewer complications mean better outcomes for patients and lower overall costs for the system. It reduces the burden associated with complex surgeries.
Makes sense.
And that remote monitoring piece we just discussed, that also contributes to efficiency, fewer routine checkup appointments, free up clinic time and resources. It allows for more streamlined patient management.
So looking ahead, where does this take us? Is this just the start?
Oh, I think it's definitely a major step forward, a real landmark. It highlights just how rapidly medical technology is advancing.
Yeah, it feels like it points towards a future where treatments are much more targeted, much less disruptive to the body.
That's precisely the direction. More personalized medicine, less invasive interventions. Researchers are definitely optimistic.
Optimistic about what specifically? More tiny devices?
Well, yes, potentially even smaller or more efficient pacemakers. But also, the principles behind this, the miniaturization, the biocompatible materials, the smart sensing could be applied to other heart conditions, not just arrhythmias. And potentially even beyond cardiology. Who knows what miniaturized, biodegradable, smart implants could lead?
Okay, so wrapping this up for everyone listening, we've explored this incredible new pacemaker technology. It's truly tiny, rice grain tiny.
And the key benefits really stand out. Implanted non-surgically, so it's safer with faster recovery.
Plus, it's biodegradable for many patients, meaning no need for removal surgery later on.
And it incorporates smart technology for adaptive pacing and remote monitoring, making care more convenient and potentially more effective.
It really tackles some major limitations of the older pacemaker technology head on. It feels like a genuine leap.
It certainly does, a testament to innovation in medical engineering.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. If we can make devices this small, this smart, and this compatible with the body for the heart, what else could we do? Where else could this kind of miniaturized, maybe even biodegradable tech revolutionize medicine? What doors does this open for monitoring and treating the human body down the road?